Yes. Welcome to Satsang. And welcome to Satsang and meditation to all the friends who are joining us today. And today Melly is on the computer. If you have any comments or anything that you want to ask, you can write it and let us know. If you have any wish what this evening could be about or what we should talk about, please write it. Then we can approach truth from all infinite different sides. There's only one truth, but many, many, many doorways to see it, to feel it, to be it, to live it. And sometimes we have opened one door and we think this is it. And the beautiful story of Atisha comes to mind. I talked about it a few times in Satsang. That Atisha was a very unique master because he got enlightened 3 times, if that's possible. Maybe we could say it differently. We are already that, and Atisha had a beautiful master that pointed him the way, and after a few years sitting at the feet of the master and meditating in the mountains, he realized his infinite being, and he wanted to go out to teach because it was such a revelation, such a simplicity, such an insight into the nature of things that is more simple than anything that the mind can conceive. And he was all excited about going out to the world and sharing it. And the master said, no, you took one doorway, but there are so many doorways and there are so many people that are not familiar with the doorway that you walked through. So you need to go to the other mountain, cross the valley, there's another master. You'd study with him. So the first master was the master of the heart, of love. And Atisha discovered himself as love. The second master was the master of awareness. So after a few years sitting at the feet of the master and doing all his practices, he awakened again to the fact that he is that which is aware of all experience. So he felt, this is, in a way, I have reached the same peak, but a totally different pathway up the peak, up the mountain. But this master said, well, this is not enough. You have so many experiences now. You will be able to help many, many people. So please go down to the valley. In the valley there's another master who is the master of devotion. And devotion has been lost. The quality, the beauty of devotion has been lost, especially in the West. But in India and in Tibet, it has been still very much in flowering. So Atisha went and visited that master and sat at his feet and discovered his devotional heart, his infinite love to the divine goddess, his infinite love to all beings. And when he realized the same vastness of love within him, the master said, now you go out, because now you can share. You can share And it is not so important what your mind says. It is important that you discover what the people that come in contact with you, what kind of mind they carry. Because you can only speak on the level of their mind. And if you have only followed one path, you will maybe not understand the mind of awareness, the mind of love, the mind of presence, the mind of devotion. So, in these satsangs and today, if we look into the world, there are so many doors open. Especially in hot spots like Byron Bay and Mullumbimby and Mount Shasta in America and Rishikesh in India and Isfahan in Iran and Konya in Turkey. I mean, there are so many places where the footprints of the masters have been kind of vibrating until today. It reminds me of the time when we visited in China the cave of Bodhidharma, another master, and the presence of this fierce master was so tangible. It's almost like we were sitting in his cave, and it felt like he's right there, present. So the ego structure, the remnant, the remainder of our egos was kind of trembling because it felt like Bodhidharma could hit us any moment. Wake up! So, welcome to Satsang. And if you would like me to talk on any topic that comes to you, please write a little note and Melinda will read it to me and we will see. Until then, maybe we just sit a little bit. Maybe we close the eyes, take a few deep breaths. Feeling how each in-breath is letting go deeper inside. And turning our attention completely inward. Our five senses are mostly a door to the outside world. We see things, we hear things, we touch things, we smell things, we taste things. Now in meditation, turn your senses around, which means instead of following your attention to the source of the sensory experience, like here in the moment there are some animal noises and some birds. And rather than going out to the object, turn around, open your inner door and let all the sounds turn you in, so that you receive every sound in the depths of your inner silence. Then you will find the sound deepens the silence. And listening meditations or sound meditations are very, very helpful because there is so much noise in the world. And we can naturally move from the opposites, like we can move from noise, and when the noise suddenly stops, maybe much stronger we are aware of the silence that is behind each sound. And it doesn't matter what sound. Now maybe there is a little bit of traffic sound. Absorb the sound in the silence that we are. And you find the silence goes deeper. Feel your body sitting here. Normally, with the sense of touch, we go out to the object that we touch. Now turn the direction of the flow of your attention around. Receive the touch of the cushion or the couch or the chair you're sitting on. And perhaps even through receiving the sensory experience of touch, there is this mysterious space opening. Like from the sense of form. In touch, we usually touch some form, to the awareness of formlessness within. And we are not creating anything, we're not doing anything. It's more like shifting our attention from outward to inward. We can experience the same through the sense of tasting and smelling. And later also through seeing. Many of you may remember that the sense of smell is kind of a very primordial sense. It rests in a little bit more primitive place within the brain. we learned about smelling in a way that smell has the strongest memory bank. You may remember you smell something and suddenly you're transported into a memory where that same smell evoked different responses. And when it is a beautiful fragrance, when you smell it once and then only many, many years later the same fragrance appears, it evokes the same feeling. Also with taste. You remember as a child our likes and dislikes were very much pronounced. We knew exactly what we like and what we don't like in food. But we haven't learned at the time maybe to absorb that sensory experience in our deepest being. So that brings us to this wonderful Tantric meditation that we have talked about quite a few times during Satsang. So Shiva says to his beloved Devi, who is also enlightened, they're just exchanging experiences to somehow encourage the students to experiment with this. And one of the meditations goes, "O beloved, as senses are received, absorbed in the heart, reach the center of the lotus." The center of the lotus is a metaphor for our infinite, formless being. And this wisdom that instead of reacting or bringing our attention to the object that provokes the sensory experience, we can absorb it It's almost like we allow whatever the experience is, smelling, tasting, seeing, feeling, hearing, absorbing it in the heart. When we say heart here, we could say absorbing it in the spacious openness of our infinite being. And perhaps even the word reach the center of the lotus is not quite correct, because you are in that moment at the center of your own being and of all beings. And somehow this meditation is like a reminder that any experience that comes our way, whether we like it and attach to it, or whether we don't like it and want to reject it, in this meditation, we don't need to choose. And we discover and learn that we can absorb any experience in our vast being. And that seems to be the ongoing practice after we had the first glimpse of our being. The residue of our ego is thousandfold, many little pockets that can get triggered. So then that is the invitation to absorb choicelessly. We can absorb any judgment. We can absorb any emotion. We can absorb any experience. And through that absorption, we mysteriously reveal what through language we can only say the experiencer, but it's not a thing, it's not a form, it's not an object. It is the background in which everything happens. So let's rest here for a while. Let the pointer of absorbing, let that be just an open, relaxed invitation. There's no goal here. There's no achievement here. Just resting as this infinite space in which every experience is welcome. deeper and deeper. Just dropping through all the layers that appear. There's no end, no destination. And from that depths inside, we can take a deeper breath. Gently become aware of the body again. It's always been here, it's been held by the space. And in a moment, when you allow your eyes to open, let them become windows. Resist the temptation to look out. Let whatever your eyes perceive, let this impression enter. It may feel like we're looking a little bit blank. In Tantra, the looking meditation is a very important discovery. When the eyes are loose and relaxed. Then we see things as they are. Very good. Maybe another deep breath and a good stretch. Is there any message from the beyond Byron Bay? Any question, any report, any discovery, please feel free.
Thomas loves the sounds of silence at Byron Bay from Stockholm.
Thomas. It's not the sound of silence of Byron Bay, it's your own inner silence. It's the one silence, yes.
Can you speak from Anders Redsa? Can you speak of why we want to escape the present moment?
Anders, why do we want to escape the present moment? That's a fantastic question. Because when we are here and now, pretty much everything that defines us disappears. Yeah. What do we define ourselves with? We define ourselves with looks, or with achievements, or with our intellect, or with our strong or weak body. There's positive or negative identifications, but all these definitions are fleeting unless we strive towards them. Mind cannot exist in the present moment. So we are so afraid of the present moment because in one dimension it feels like we are dying. We don't know who we are. We don't have a shape. We don't have a form. We don't have a destiny. We don't have a purpose in life. All these human things that most human beings try to achieve later give a sense or create a construct of a sense of self. And this sense of self, for some reason, I don't know why it is like this, we need to defend. We're constantly defending it. So we are defending it by reinforcing the identity through memory. Most of your thoughts have been thought before, millions of times. But when we say, it's my thought, and this thought can bring me to a deeper place within, then we make the deeper place within a goal, and the ego is happy because it has something to do. The moment we are completely present, everything disappears. Every arbitrary definition of our being disappears. We simply are. Now, how long can we just rest in simply being? Very quickly, our mind will come in and it says, yeah, but... And the usual argument that is against meditation is, yeah, if I just sit silently and nothing is happening, who will feed me? Who will pay my bills? Who will take care of my health? And so on. There's a lot of arguments that defend the becoming. Isn't it absurd? And if we stop for a moment, the apparent solidity of our personality simply reveals itself as a mirage. I don't know if you can relate to that. It's who we think we are is actually exactly that. It's a thought. But the amazing thing is the true being, who we really are, is independent of thought. In being here now, there is no goal. The misunderstanding is, of course, that if there's no goal, the mind would say then there's nothing to do, and we are not flowering, and we are not living our potential, and we are not, fulfilling our life's destiny. Do something. And whoever has really found the depths of his being, can follow Basho, this beautiful Zen master, whose main or most well-known poem is sitting silently, doing nothing. Spring comes and the grass grows by itself. And the opposite of this is being active, being restless. Mind comes and self-definition happens by itself. And the illusion of self happens by itself. That's the other side. So of course I don't know why this is such an existential setup, no? Because unless we cannot be anywhere else than here and now. We are always here and now. It is just the mind, the thought process, the habitual definition of ourselves that takes our attention away from the most obvious, which is here and now, to an illusory mind concept through which we define ourselves. I don't know why. Maybe just that eventually we realize how much we are caught in becoming, and before we come to complete rest, which means when the body dies, we have recognized the incredible beauty of presence that reveals itself in millions of ways, And lovemaking, for example, if it's Tantric lovemaking, if it's lovemaking with presence, that presence in the expanded state of the senses, of love, of prayer, of devotion, of looking for the beyond, reveals itself again and again. Probably sex is the easiest way to either move away from yourself in fantasy or to land in the here and now, the eternal here now. But it's also when you watch a sunset or a sunrise, or when you stand in nature and look at the trees, or when you watch a bird picking its seeds, or when something surprises you. Like when I was preparing this room and our veranda for satsang, I lifted one cushion and I got such a surprise because there was this big, wonderful, incredible patterned lizard, quite a shiny lizard just sitting under the cushion. I have to show it to you. It has this home there. I saw it before, but this again was such a surprise. These surprises bring you into the here and now, and then all thoughts and everything disappears because the surprise of this moment just catapults you into the now. I don't know if that helps. Of course, it's still, the question may still stay open, but what to do?
Every few seconds it comes up waiting for live signal. There seems to be a bit of a problem with
Oh, the internet connection.
internet, yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, and Anders replies, it seems as if the mind is scared of the present moment. Does it require courage to stay here and now?
Yes, I don't know if everybody heard the question. Anders asked, does it need courage to stay here and now? On one level it needs courage because it needs the courage to let go or die to any definition that is an arbitrary label on what is here now. This is one way to answer this. And the other way to answer this is, you're always here and now, so it doesn't need courage, it just needs awakening, it needs the realization that you can never be anywhere else and you can never be in any other time than now. So does that need courage? No. It just needs a sudden or a gradual recognition of that which every seeker is seeking. But the seeker seeks freedom as an object and forgets that freedom is within the subject. Freedom is already here. But when we really allow that, then everything stops. Our whole story, our whole definition stops. I mean, everything in the world of things continues wonderfully, but suddenly your separate sense of self that defines itself through acceptance or resistance, wanting or rejection, all these polarities, darkness and light, suddenly falls flat into one. You cannot add anything to the one. Then when we follow the meditation that we just shared a little bit longer, then everything that you look at is you. Every person you look at is you. Everything that ever happened in you. And is always happening in you. So the whole concept through which we build our reality falls flat. Maybe, yes, it needs courage. For me, it needed courage to sit at the feet of the Master because he destroyed every concept of truth that I had before I met Osho. So on that level, it needs courage. Okay? I hope that helps.
Maria.
Oh, Maria.
Her question says, she says, my question is connected to violence against animals that keeps manifesting in my face very strongly. Heavy to absorb. The doer gets activated. Maybe I can meditate on Bodhidharma, wake up. I think the doer getting activated when she sees violence against animals.
I understand. You said your doer gets activated when you see violence against animals. Funny, no? Funny that it gets more activated when you see violence against animals than when you see violence against the apparent most evolved form of life called human being. No? Why is that? Again, there are many layers. Animals are they don't have a mind and they don't have an ego. They have a unique personality, but they are not caught in the maze of memory of past and future. This is why, for example, a dog, if you leave him alone for a long time and you come back, the dog doesn't say, "Oh, why didn't you come back? Yeah, I've been waiting." He is just full of love and presence. So probably violence against animals is almost like violence against a natural form of presence as life, and then basically it's life negative. But this is only one aspect to look at it. No? How far shall we go there? I know, Maria, you explored and have been teaching the Byron Katie work. No? Because your thoughts against your thoughts about violence against animals is your thought, and your thought then becomes violent against the people who are violent against animals. So we are in the same boat. So there are people violent against animals, and your thoughts are violent against these people. Not only you, we all have this. The moment we have any attitude towards or against, it is fueled by our thoughts towards and against. And as you went very deep in the work of Byron Katie, the first step is it true? Is this thought true? And then you realize it's not true. And then you realize, who would you be without the thought? Probably you wouldn't be so violent against the person who is violent. And then you turn it around, am I violent against women or against myself, against animals or women or men or against myself? And you will find also that. So again, there are many layers in all this, but it all comes down to presence. And presence is not a passive, lazy, couch potato life. Presence has a lot to do with a spontaneous, creative response to now. That is where the word responsibility comes in. The ability to respond. So when you see violence against animals, your fierce love has the ability to respond, and if you can, you will stop it. So that brings us to this place if you can change a situation for the better, and your being moves in this direction, then you need to follow it. Because otherwise you hold back a spontaneous life response. Otherwise you become either violent towards the perpetrator or towards yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. In this way, many people have judged Osho because he wasn't doing anything. And Osho had these beautiful stories, because he was awake already when he was a kid, or when he was I think his awakening happened when he was 21. But then he tells this story of him always going to this beautiful river near his village in Jabalpur, where he actually is not his village. Jabalpur is where he had studied. There are these marble rocks and very steep and beautiful river. And one day he sits there meditating, and somebody floats by in the river screaming, "Help me, help me, help me." And Osho jumps and pulls him out of the water. And the person says, "Why do you pull me out of the water? I wanted to commit suicide. This is terrible. You kind of destroy my whole plan." And Osho said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and pushed him back into the water, if that's what you want. Now, is that bad? Is that good? Is that a no-mind response? You figure it out. Is that a good thing? Is he a murderer? Actually, ultimately, somebody else fished him out, so he didn't die. But Osho has many, many stories where he shows people the deceiving nature of the mind. And all these are just pointers towards that which is seldomly explored by the majority of humanity, which is who we are beyond the mind. Does it help, Maria? Life is so absurd, isn't it? It's so wonderfully absurd. And it takes the most incredible twists. I was actually thinking of sharing a meditation with you, one of the many beautiful meditations from Osho. And this meditation is called Nada Brahma. Nada is the sound, and Brahma is God, the divine sound. And if you have practiced different types of meditations, or if you have been part of any kind of religion or spiritual community, sound, hymns, music, chanting has been very much part of many, many groups of people who are kind of trying to find a connection to the divine or a connection to the beyond. So why sound? When I studied esoteric sciences in Pune with my teacher Vadud, we were exploring the different qualities and aspects of the chakras and what energies they are actually expressing. And what are the limitations? How can it happen that a chakra is somehow blocked in its energy flow? And many of the biggest blockage we all carry is in the third chakra, in the solar plexus, because we have repressed so much violence and anger and hate and fighting spirit. So because of this repression, the world needed again and again big wars to release the pent-up negative load of emotions that we all hold in the third chakra. This is why emotional release and all these therapy forms work to a certain extent. Now, sound relates to the throat chakra. Sound is like, the throat is empty, just like a flute, and when you blow through it in the right way, you create a sound. And we could say in the throat chakra, this is just a model, but for me it's been a helpful model. In the throat chakra, we have stored all our belief systems that have supported us to create a certain identity. So it's all connected. Through beliefs, you create identification. Through identification, we create projection, and we don't see reality as it is. So, since beliefs are very, very powerful, most wars nowadays and in history have been belief wars. One group of people believe they are Muslims, other group of people believe they are Christians, others Hindus, and so on. And these different belief systems cannot tolerate each other. So when I first time traveled to India in 1971, we just crossed the border between India and Pakistan, and there was a huge crowd of soldiers and tanks, and we said, oh my God, it looks like there's going to be a war any moment. And this war is, funny enough, it actually happened after we left India at the time, between Pakistan and India, which originally has been one country. But in this one country, there are many religions, but these major two religions. One is Hindu, the other is Muslim. And that created so much difference that the politicians decided we're going to divide this country into two, into Pakistan and India. But really, it's not the country, it is the belief system. They pushed and made homeless all the Muslims in the Hindu part of India and sent them to Pakistan. And there was a lot of suffering and a lot of unnecessary killing just because these people have a different belief system. All wars started in the Christians with the Crusades. fighting and killing the non-believers. Still happening in Afghanistan with the Taliban and with extreme Muslims, and in other countries with other religions. So the belief system that creates our identification can be very, very disruptive and dangerous and limiting. And many of us, through our parents, we have learned so many limiting beliefs. No? If your parents told you long enough that you're a no good, that you don't behave well, that you will never succeed, you will start to believe that and live according to this belief the rest of your life, and you never get anything together. No? And other children are kind of educated with the belief that they are a superior race. So they feel superior as white people towards black people, for example. It is totally crazy because we are all one natural being. But the belief system, the label on, I call it the invisible or the untouchable, because a belief is just a thought. It's not real. It's not a object. Is so strong that we are ready to kill for it, which creates this complete strange situation that people voluntarily join the army to defend their country. Now it sounds logical. If you're identified with being French or German, then you have to, like at least in the Second World War, as German you have to fight and kill the French and take over the French so that they are basically governed by you. It's all power trips and it's all beliefs. Other people think they're Japanese. They have to fly to Pearl Harbor and destroy the whole American fleet. Maybe that was intelligent, I don't know, maybe it was stupid. But it's all through beliefs. So why chanting? Why using the voice? Why prayer? Spoken prayer? Why mantras? My understanding, I haven't read this anywhere, but my understanding is that through the vibration of sound, we are actually disrupting the crystallized mind patterns that beliefs have created. And we open to a dimension where, I would say in the throat, it is said, when the throat opens, that's the first awakening that we are one with everything. Why? Because when the throat opens, we move beyond beliefs into the unknown nature of things. Now the mind thinks he knows everything, but reality is. It's unknowable. It already is. And perhaps through opening the throat, specifically through the chants that relate to higher consciousness, higher vibration, divine vibrations, can bring us into a different energetic mode of love, of gratitude, of prayer, of devotion. And all these aspects are aspects of the true expression of the throat chakra, through which then the third eye can open and begin to see reality as it is, rather than through projecting our own thoughts onto everything that is. Now I spoke much too long for our meditation. So what I would suggest is let's just have a little taste. Let's just for 10 minutes begin what is usually an hour meditation. It's called Nada Brahma. In Nada Brahma, normally for half an hour we hum, we make a sound with closed mouth, and we just allow that sound to continue. And you will find as you continue that sound, more and more you disappear into this vibrational field of sound. And we just do the first stage of Nada Brahma. The second stage would be we share our energy with the world for 7.5 minutes, and then we reverse the energy flow back into ourselves, and the cosmos fills us with energy. So we're not going to do this tonight. We're just going to hum for about 10 minutes. Closed eyes, and the humming through the closed mouth, through the nose, unless your nose is blocked. But even then, if you can manage, and we will do that together, and then we will move from the sound. It's another Tantric meditation where the sound becomes softer and softer. This is when I ring the bell. You let the sound become softer and softer and softer and softer until you fall into silence, or we fall into silence together. Shall we try that? So you can close your eyes and take a few deep conscious breaths. And then you can begin the humming. And we are just playing some Tibetan bowls with it. letting the sound slowly become lower and lower and lower and lower and lower until we rest in silence. And we're going to sit a few minutes. this is just a small taste. If you want to explore and practice the Nada Brahma meditation, you will find it in the internet, on YouTube, or on the website of the Osho Meditation Resort. It's called Nada Brahma, and you will find the description in it. It's very beautiful to quieten your whole system, especially after a busy day. No? Was there any important message? Okay. Then thank you for being with us. Even though we don't see you, we feel you, and it's a beautiful possibility to connect around this beautiful planet in presence and love. So next Friday we have Satsang again, and invite your friends, and we will invite more people now, because somehow the situation hopefully has become a lot better with COVID around here. We will see. Anyway, we're gonna, unless I myself get sick, we will have Satsang, and I have a strong intention to stay healthy. With Satsang on Friday, next Friday, 7 o'clock here. Thank you. Namaste. Have a beautiful rest of the day.